What's going on, guys? Your boy RedpillCanuck back again with another YouTube video. Shout out to the Canuck Squad for being involved and being active on this YouTube channel. And of course, today's episode is sponsored by good old RedpillCanuck.com, our daily pill, where we have majority of our videos here for your viewing pleasure, including our catalog of Money Monday. And of course, today is Money Monday, where we keep our mind on our money and our money on our mind for at least one day of the week. The other days you could think about tail and whatever, but except for Monday, because Monday is on Mondays. Did I say that right? Anyway. Hopefully you guys had a productive weekend. I did. I got a lot of stuff done. And that sort of stuff. And of course, if you listen to alternative platforms, shout out to everybody on good old Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shout out to you. Hit the follow button if you haven't already. And if you're on YouTube right now, hit the like button and subscribe button if you haven't already. Now, of course, you already saw today's topic because I revealed it when I wasn't supposed to. Yeah, I didn't realize I had it on the screen before I made the video. But anyway, that's okay. You already see by today's title. Food shortages and good old 2023. Now, we all know there is forces that may be behind the food shortage, but we're not going to talk about conspiracy here today because obviously your boy wants to keep his channel alive. But the reason why I'm doing this video, because one, I found it quite interesting, and two, that way if you see what is being affected by food shortage in your mind mentally and your wallets, you can actually think of healthy alternatives. Now, I want to say alternatives, but what's the use you're going to come up with an alternative and it ain't healthy? So this gives you a good indication and a good idea and a good heads up to what is coming. Pause. Now let's get in today's article. There's 13 of them actually, so we're gonna get into a few of them. So we're gonna skip. Actually, no, we'll read the introduction. Let's read the introduction. The United States in the 21st century is a place of abundance, which is actually very true. If you actually look at the ability of us to get food, you literally can just go on your phone. Like if you want a steak at 2 o'clock in the morning and there is a restaurant that is open, you could just basically go on your app, order it, and you can have steak within 30 minutes. Now, that is what you call convenience and abundance. Now, is that a good thing? That's up to you. Anyway, we've come to expect almost every possible item, including food and essentially staple items, to be available at every corner market, supermarket, and warehouse store virtually every day of the year, and often every time of day. Now, of course, I was just talking about that in regards to food delivery apps. I'm not going to shout them out because they ain't giving your boy nothing. So they ain't getting no free promo from me. But anyway. Now, I like to call these these supermarkets and warehouses, I like to call them food storage facilities because that's basically what they are when you really look at it. They call it a supermarket. I call it a food storage facility. But anyway, that's thanks to the robust supply chain and blah, yada, yada. And of course, that's not the case right now. Now, so far in the 2020s, farmers, food processors, suppliers, and grocery stores have been affected by good old weather problems, diseases, and labor shortages. And of course, that's what is affecting the supply chain. Of course, we had the good old pandemic involved as well. So let's get into the actual task at hand. Let's go through the 13 items that are facing this food shortage. Now, first of all, for all you meat lovers, the first one is beef. Yeah. Beef, according to its producers' marketing slogan, is what's for dinner, and often true for many whether it could be a form of a hamburger, a roast rib, steak, whatnot. But in 2023, beef is likely to have a short supply, forcing Americans to get their robust protein fix and dietary centerpiece from something other than red meat. Now, if you're looking for protein, and I'm not a nutritionist by any means, but if you're looking for some sort of protein replacement, there's also beans. Beans actually is a good source of protein as well. But obviously it doesn't taste like a steak, but anyway, that's it. According to Beef Magazine, and yes, there is a magazine called Beef Magazine, it estimates the average American consumed 5.6 less beef in 2023 than they did the previous year. The steep decline is a consumption in nearly 40 years. Wow. Okay. And let's see if there's anything else interesting here. So they're talking about no, there's nothing really too important there, but anyway. Now, I just found this very interesting. They're talking about grass-fed, being grass-fed and whatnot, but that's neither here or there. But interesting enough, one of the things is lettuce. Yes, that green leafy stuff that you like to put on your... Well, actually, no. Lettuce is salad. Lettuce is the main thing of salad. But anyway, lettuce, that crisp, and actually it says it right here. I didn't even see it before I made that very interesting joke. Yeah. Lettuce, that crisp and leafy that serves the base of countless salads and tops numerous sandwiches, is harder to find than usual since before last year. The reason is because of the weather, plant diseases, and what else? Apparently there was a crop in California that actually put effect to this as well. Now, according to the Growers Association, the region in and around the agricultural cradle of, I don't know what this is, experienced unseasonable periods of warm weather, which upset and scorched lettuce plants. So it was the weather again. Yeah, we're just going to leave it at that. So weather basically played a huge impact on the lettuce. And actually, at one point, even here in Canada, lettuce was going for like $8 a head. Pause. Yeah, we're going to put pause on that. And the actual lettuce was the size of a softball. Yeah, that tiny. Now, beer. I actually didn't realize this could be considered food, but beer is number 3. Yeah, so all you alkies out there that like to get your beer on, yeah, that's being affected. And actually, there's several reasons why, and we're just going to briefly go through it here. So one of the reasons why it actually has to do with the aluminum. Now, this actually affected quite a bit of other items, such as pet food and anything that actually, say, canned bean, anything that's in a can, it pretty much affected because there was actually a reduction in aluminum. So they didn't have aluminum. And that's actually the reason why this also happened was during the good old pandemic, people were stocking up on items. And yeah, they haven't actually gone back yet. A lot of people are still storing quite a bit. So that's actually one of the reasons why. Champagne is number 4. So for all you alkies out there, we're continuing on with champagne now. Now, the reason why there was a shortage here, we're just briefly going through this because obviously you don't want me to read this whole thing. So I'm just kind of skimming through. So one of the reasons why here it says basically, it has to do with the production of grapes. So, because obviously the grapevine, and again, had to do with weather. A lot of the grapevines had frost. Yeah, and that actually contributed to mildew, which made the grapes unusable. Yeah. Good old weather again. as we go through the list, you're gonna notice that weather plays a huge impact on a lot of things. Now, the next one, number 5, we're going back to food again, which is good because I'm tired of talking about alcohol. I don't really drink that much. I drink occasionally, but oranges. Now, I actually seen this firsthand. Like, even the oranges that we have here or lately, they don't look too healthy. They don't look like they have a lot of juice. Now, on the outside, it looks like an orange, obviously. Well, some of the oranges that I saw, they pretty much look like lemons because of the color and whatnot. But oranges basically was in a shortage as well. And again, this has to do with weather. And of course, oranges have to be grown in a tropical climate, such as Florida. Florida is predominantly known for oranges. And because of the weather and whatnot, they actually produced 51% less than the previous season. And that actually is the lowest they've ever had since 1937. Wow. So this had to do with, again, with hurricanes destroying crops and, again, with the unseasonable weather, good old weather, it affected oranges. Now, number 6 is cooking oil. Now, I found this very interesting because how can cooking oil be affected? Now, as we know, or some of us don't know, but we're going to learn now, cooking oil is made from, some of them are made from sunflowers. So we're talking about canola oil, and we're talking about, well, oil in general comes from plants. Now, the reason why is that we're having this issue with the shortage because one, it had to do with the good old weather, but also it had to do with imports because predominantly a lot of crops that are made to produce oil were harvested in the Ukraine and Russia. Now, we all know what's going on there right now. So the imports or the exports are not as vast as they were before. So that's what's affecting most of the crops here. Now, butter is the next one. Now, butter I found also very interesting, but again, it actually has to do with the supply chain. So refrigerated butter in supermarkets are going to, what? Let me reread this again. Refrigerated butter shelves in supermarkets are suddenly going to turn empty. But eventually they are going to be turning empty because, yeah, there's a reduction in milk. And of course, we know milk is used to make butter. Now, even milk is causing an issue, and I'm not sure. I haven't looked through the list here, but I don't think we're going to cheat. Sorry, we're cheating here. Yeah, so milk is not on the list here, but milk is used to actually make the butter. And there has been a reduction in milk. So that's what's causing the issue with the butter. Now, corn is another issue. Corn, good old corn. That stuff that the stuff that doesn't go away, really. Corn is the single most luxurious cash crop in the U.S. Production, distribution, and sales of corn contributed $71.1 billion to the American economy in 2021, according to the State of Agriculture. Whether it's used to make oil, corn syrup, canned or sold corn on the crop is extremely volatile and blah, 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 blah. So, of course, what caused the issues with corn, again, it has to do with the crops. And we know when we talk about crops, we talk about weather and the good old this here. Yeah. And because of that, it has a huge dent in corn-related stuff, such as oil and corn on the cob and other corn-related things. What else can you make with corn? Also, popcorn. Popcorn. Yep, there we go. Popcorn. That's another thing. Now, did we skip one? Oh, no, we didn't. Now, this one, yeah. This I have my suspicions about on why we have this shortage. But I'm going to keep it off this video because it's one of these here. Eggs. Eggs. Eggs, I honestly thought was going to be number one because if you look on social media, there's a lot of skits that are coming out that people are buying eggs like they're buying drugs. Now in Canada here, and I didn't even know this actually was a thing, but people are actually buying eggs from Canada here, bringing it to the US, to you all over there, and hustling. We're all hustling eggs now. Now, when I told a friend about this, it actually goes even deeper. Pause. People are apparently going to they're going to Mexico to get eggs and bring it back. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are at that time where we have to travel hundreds and thousands of miles to get affordable eggs. Now, the reason why we're having the egg shortage, it has to do with a so-called aviation flu, aka bird flu. And of course, it has something to do with the chicken feed and the supply chain and whatnot. But long story short, chickens are not having eggs like they used to. They're having trouble producing eggs. Now, what a lot of people don't know about, and I actually did my research on this. This is how I found out about this. Now, eggs have a vitamin which is actually very good for your mental health and for your brain and for your development and a lot of stuff. B12. B12 is in eggs. Now, that is basically, again, for your overall health. Now, I find it very interesting, but we're going to get into that part. We're going to say that to the end. I'm not going to mention now. But I just found it very interesting that we had a shortage of eggs. Now, next one, tomatoes. So, if you like your, I don't know, is marinara? Yeah, marinara is with tomatoes. If you like your marinara sauce and spaghetti sauce and you like your little cherry tomatoes, I love cherry tomatoes in my salad. Yeah. Tomatoes are also being affected as well. And again, because it has to do with crops and drought conditions and whatnot. And they actually experienced a serious drought back in 2022 of October, where 94% of the state of California faced a huge drought, which affected a lot of the crops. Now, of course, this affects prices in regards to, again, ketchup, pasta sauce, and tomatoes as well. So if you like tomatoes on your salad, you definitely were affected. Bread. Now, me personally, I make my own bread. I have a bread maker. I love making, and then shout out to everybody who have bread makers out there, because there is nothing more enjoyable than waking up to the smell of bread. Now, usually what I do, and I'm revealing a little bit of my secret here. Now, what I usually do is when I come home from, because sometimes I work nights. So what I do is I come home, shower, I do my workout routine. And then I prepare my bread. I put it in my bread maker, and you all know how bread makers are. They have a timer and whatnot. So what I do personally is I put everything in my bread maker, set it to do whatever it has to do, go to sleep. Now, the cool thing about this is with a bread maker, again, it has a timer, and it shuts itself off once the bread is done. Now, when I usually get up after from my nice slumber, the whole house smells like bread. It's like sleeping in a bakery. You guys got to try it. Honestly, some people like to get up to the smell of bacon. I like to get up to the smell of bread. But anyway, so of course bread was affected because, again, we get a lot of our wheat and whatnot from Russia and Ukraine. And of course, they're having that little war going on now, or we're not going to say war. We're going to say disagreement. And that actually affected the thing of bread. And it also affects cereals as well. So it has to do with wheat. Now, we do have wheat here in Canada as well, but because of a lot of things that are the way things are being produced, they're sent elsewhere to get refined, which makes no sense to me. But anyway, that's why bread was affected and anything wheat related. And I think that actually the reason why it affects beer as well, because I think beer does have, where's my beer? I think beer also does have wheat in it as well, or they have hops. They have hops. I think hop is a grain. I think that was the reason why beer was affected as well. It doesn't say here, but I think that might have been the reason why. They were saying aluminum, but I think it was probably also that. So next one, let's go back down here. Sorry, I'm making you guys dizzy here. Number 11 was bread. Number 12 is olive oil. So again, the same reason why oil up here was affected, cooking oil. Olive oil is the same thing. So you had the crops being affected in regards to weather and whatnot. And actually what happened was, let's see here. So 12% of Oh, so apparently we were getting a lot of our olive oil from Latin America, and it actually had a virus, it looks like, that affected the world's olive oil supply back in 2021, and it affected a solid third of 60 million olive trees. 60 million olive trees got affected, and it caused 50 to 70% of the olive oil production reduction. Wow. Now, some people use olive oil. Some people use canola oil. To me, oil is oil. I use coconut oil. I think coconut oil is healthy. But then again, I'm not a nutritionist, but that's it. Now, the last one here we have on our list is baby formula. Now, I know we had the issue with baby formula during lockdown time because in Canada, it was all over the place. They were talking about how it was hard to get baby formula. Now, the reason why there was an issue with baby formula, let me see here. The shortage, it doesn't really say why. What affected, Oh, they actually had a recall. Okay. So they had a recall. They discovered bacteria at the facility, so that would cause it. So it doesn't really have anything to do with the ingredients per se. It looks like because there was a so-called bacteria, which basically caused a lot more than 40% of the stock to be unavailable. So that's when people were going crazy. And again, the way people are going with eggs nowadays, this was the eggs of its day. Baby formula. Wow. Now, the question is, what do I have to say about all this? Now, we're going to go full screen for a second, of course. We're going to go full screen. Now, what I notice, and this is just allegedly, this is just your boy talking. Yeah, we're playing this. We're playing this soundbite a lot in this video because a lot of stuff, it just doesn't make sense. Now, I understand a lot of things are being affected by weather and whatnot, but is it just me? Or do you find it very interesting that the stuff that is healthy is the stuff that's being affected? Anything that is good for you, it looks like it's being affected. Like, I'll give you an example. Lettuce, for instance. Lettuce, tomatoes, corn, oranges. These are all things that are healthy. They're good for your health, and they keep you healthy. Now, I find, and eggs. Eggs is also a major one because it has that B12 in it. I find it very interesting that majority of this stuff on this list is healthy stuff. I see no junk food on here. Except, of course, beer is not really a food. That has more to do with aluminum anyway. And champagne, well, that's a mixed debate if champagne is actually good for you or not. A lot of people say it is because it has grapes. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about that. Bruh. I don't know what to say when it comes to alcohol. I'm not an alcoholic guy, but anyway. But again, I just find this is all alleged. I just find it quite interesting. Very interesting that the healthy stuff is affected. Kind of makes you think, doesn't it? I'm not going to play the soundbite. I think I played it too much this episode. But anyway, why did I do this episode today? One, I thought it was very interesting. And two, it gives you... Now, these are not short right now. They're expected, like the title says. Short is to expect in 2023. Expect. Now, the reason why I did this episode today is that way you, as part of the Canuck squad, can prepare and find alternatives to compensate if there is a shortage. Now, a lot of stuff you can't compensate for. Like eggs, you can't compensate. Well, maybe you can, but again, I'm not a nutritionist. And of course, we're looking at scrambled eggs here for some reason. But anyway, but with a lot of meat, like, because a lot of people eat, like beef, for instance, is because for the protein. Well, obviously, beef tastes good. Who doesn't like a steak or hamburger? But at the end of the day, it has to do with protein. So there's alternatives for that. Like with lettuce, the alternative, you could actually use cabbage. Now, you can actually make a coleslaw and have kind of the same effect as lettuce. Now, I personally did that. What I did was I actually mixed cabbage or coleslaw and lettuce. Yeah, it's an interesting mix, but it doesn't taste that bad. But yeah, there's a lot of alternatives you can actually decide to come up with in order to compensate. Now, how they're saying it's expected to be in 2023, it gives you the ability to not only know what is on the horizon, but how to not combat it, but how to come up with alternatives. So that way you can get the same nutritional effects. Now, we're not really talking too much about taste because obviously a lot of stuff you can't replace when it comes to taste. But I'm talking about health benefits. There's a lot of alternatives that you can have the same health benefits with and still get the and whatnot. But I just thought this article was very interesting for a Money Monday because we are having quite a bit of a shortage. And believe it or not, we are only in February and we're having this. It's going to be very interesting how the rest of the year is going to be. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's episode of Money Monday. Shout out to good old RedpillCanuck.com, our daily pill. Once this video is pretty much edited, we're going to have it up here as well. There's a few we still have to put up here also, but that's going to be up here. So if you're missing out on some of the previous episodes, it's here for your good old viewing pleasure. Shout out to everybody on good old Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks for listening. And we're still uploading some of our podcasts on here. We'll get there soon. And that's going to be it for today's episode. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next Monday. Later. Thanks for watching. Make sure you smash that like button, and to check out our more recent uploads, check here on the top left, and to check out our playlist, check here on the top right. And make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, and also check out our Quick Hits channel, which is also located down below for our more bite-sizable content. I'll see you guys in the next one.